Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on James's Jades. James is moving to the United States, so he can't take his trees with him, so he gave me all his Jades he's been working on for the last 5 or 6 years. And they're very large trees. I've been keeping the Jades out here in the greenhouse, and I've been keeping it above freezing. Last night we went down to -8 degrees Celsius, 8 degrees below freezing. I managed to keep the greenhouse above freezing by a couple of degrees. So I've got to get these trees into the basement, and they're very large. I've got, I think, 6 trees to work on today. So today I'm going to be pruning back these Jades, making them more compact, and then bringing them indoors. At the moment they're very top heavy, and they've been tipping over in the pots. They're very hard to manage, so I'm going to be reducing them back. I've reduced Jades in the past in the middle of winter, but they were in the plant room where it was warm and sunny. This tree and the others are so large that I'm going to have to put them in the cool basement, where it stays between about 8 and 12 degrees Celsius. So I'm not sure how they'll react to this pruning today and then going into kind of cold storage. So it's something we'll have to find out. I don't have room in the plant room for them, so they'll have to go in the cool basement. The first Jade I'm going to work on today is this upright style one. And it's very top heavy, and it's in a fairly small pot, and it tips over really easily. So I don't want any further damage to it from tipping over. So I'm going to begin by reducing all the new growth back to the first set of leaves. And then I may even defoliate it to take weight off the top of the tree and get it through the winter. I'm going to begin the pruning now, and I'm going to be using directional pruning. You can see the leaves on the Jade alternate between left and right to front and back, left and right, front and back. So I can prune back to leaves that are facing the directions I want the new branches to grow in. So here I go. I'm going to start here, reducing this one back to the first set of leaves, and I generally prune about halfway between the leaf nodes, like that. On this branch, I'll prune it back to here, like that. I'll work my way around the tree, pruning it back, trying to keep it balanced so it doesn't tip over on me. This branch started to get some sub-branches, but I still took it back to the first set of healthy leaves, making the tree more compact. If I don't make them really compact, I'll have a hard time fitting them into the basement. Here's another one that comes out and then it subdivides here, but I still want to prune it back nice and short to here. So this operation is already taking a lot of weight off the tree. And then I have an upright one here that I'll prune back right back to here. And I have one here I can prune back. So that's got all the major branches reduced back now. Next, I'll want to pick a front for the tree and remove any branches that are crossing or aren't in a good place. So you can see the trunk comes up and it divides into a Y. And generally I like to keep one branch in a division stronger than the other. So this one is more upright, So it's kind of a natural flowing leader to the tree. And this one could be more of a side branch. And I don't like the front to be flat onto that division. I like it to be angled. So one trunk is coming forwards like that, and the other is in the background. So I'm just looking at the tree, trying to pick a front. So I think I like somewhere about here to be the front. I've got my main leader coming up. The apex is about here, and this could be more of a sort of a side branch. So I'll mark the front of the tree. I put a loop of wire in the soil here to indicate the front of the tree. So now I'm looking at the branch structure. I've got one branch up here and the apex is coming straight towards the viewer, so I'll remove that. That's this one right here. I'll take this leaf out that's in the way, and I can prune it back. I'm going to prune it back to here. So that gets rid of that branch coming out the front. This branch that comes up here, I could prune it back shorter to here. Got some leaves here. This branch comes out, divides into two. That's looking good. The branch on the side here, I've got an old leaf I can remove. And then I could prune this one back further to here. I could prune this one back a bit more to here. So I think that's good for the apex and this side branch. So now I have this back branch here. And I want to keep it within the canopy, but maybe a little shorter. So I think everything is good on this branch. This one's good. This one has a little growth coming up top on it, which I don't think I want, so I'm going to prune that off. It's just too vertical. Like that. I can take this one back a little shorter to there. And I think that's got the tree pruned up. So there's the front again. Now, you can see these large leaves. I'm going to defoliate the tree to further lighten the tree. And we'll see how it does. So I'm going to take all the leaves off now. Again, to make the tree lighter. And we'll just see how it reacts. It'll be interesting. Generally, I've found the jades grow quite well in the basement, even though it's cool. They seem to grow at about the same rate as if the plant was in a warm environment. So we'll see if the same happens here, if it generates a new set of leaves in the basement. Anything could happen. This is a bit of an experiment. And just a few more leaves. And the tree is defoliated. So let me have a look at my front once again. I think that's good for today. We'll see how the tree does. So on to the next giant jade. The next jade is on the floor of the greenhouse here, and on the car ride home it tipped over several times in the pot. So I need to take weight off the top of the tree. It's very, very top heavy, and get it reestablished in the pot. So let's get it up on the bench. I've managed to get the jade up on the bench. It's very tippy. The only thing holding it upright is it's leaning on the backdrop here. So I need to do some reduction, get this weight off the top of the tree before it tips over on me. So I have the main trunk comes up. It's got a big thick branch out the back, if that's the back. This part comes up and divides into two and then it gets some more branching up top. So this one's going to need some fairly good reduction. I think what I'll do is I'll start by reducing all the branches back where they divide, shortening it down, keeping my divisions on the tree, but shortening all these long branches after the division, making the tree more compact. So I think eventually, you know, the tree will be sort of this height. So here I go, some big cuts coming up on this jade. Now I should mention I haven't watered these trees since I got them, and they were quite dry to begin with, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be pruning jades if the soil is moist, because there'll be no leaves to take up moisture. So if the soil is moist, the roots will just be sitting in wet soil and they could rot. It also helps healing the tree if it's dry, so it doesn't bleed as much. So before you do any major operations to your jades, I would recommend you let the soil dry out and the tree dry out, and then you do your big cuts. Letting them dry out like this before you do the work is true for most succulents, especially adeniums. You should let them kind of dry out before you do any drastic work to them. So I'm trying to think what I'll use to cut these with. I guess my big pair of bypass pruners is the biggest tool I have out here. All right, here I go. I'm going to have to hold the tree with my hand because I know as soon as I cut one branch off, the tree's going to want to tip over. So how low do I go? So from this division here, here's my first node. So I could prune halfway between there. Pretty daring cut, but I think I've got to do it. So here I go. Cutting halfway between the nodes. Sorry, James, but here we go. Big cut coming up. Here I go. That's a good clean cut. So, oh my goodness, is that ever heavy? That is a lot of weight off the tree. Okay, the second big cut is going to be on this side. And I could keep one longer. I've got an inner node here and one here. So I think I'll go just a little higher on this branch. Pruning it off right here. So here I go. There's big cut number 2. And now the final big cut. So if I rotate the tree around, holding it in place, I've got an internode here is the first one. So I'm going to prune it just above there. So here I go, the third big cut, like that. Wow, what a reduction. So now the tree is quite stable in the pot. I'll just clean up these old leaves here that have fallen down. Make sure the tree's sitting in the pot nicely. And that is ready to go inside. Big cuts on that jade. So these cuttings, these large cuttings, if I prune them back, stuck them in bonsai soil, left them dry for about a month, wait until you start seeing new leaves popping out on them, then you can start increasing the watering. Misting at first, and then eventually a full water once it gets, a good set of leaves on it. Letting it dry out once again, giving it another full watering, letting it dry out once again, and eventually you'll grow a nice jade plant from these cuttings. I don't have room to grow more jade cuttings, so these will have to go outside on the compost heap. Here is a look at giant jade number 2 prune back. Now I haven't picked a front for it, so I will do that, and I'll mark the front. Pretty nice right there. Is this the leader and then 2 fanning out branches? So I think that'll be the front of the tree somewhere in this area here. So I'll mark that with a loop of wire. So I'll place my loop in, I guess, right about here. Okay, that's ready to go into the basement. That was the last of the big jades. The next one I'm going to be working on is this Golum jade. And this one I really like. I'm going to keep this one. The other ones I'll be giving away unless I change my mind. Here is a look at this jade. So it's really nice. It's a nice compact tree. Again, you know, the trunk comes up, divides into two here, and then it has a back branch. So nice branch placement. And it's already got a nice kind of umbrella-shaped canopy. So today I'm just going to be reducing this tree back. Hopefully, you know, no drastic work to it. Just a light pruning. I'm going to begin today by cleaning out some of these older leaves. Just cleaning up the structure. This is turning into a branch. That's got the base of the tree cleaned up. I'll remove any leaves that are below a division, a branch division. Again, kind of cleaning the structure up so I can see what's going on with the branches. And this type of work you can do anytime to a jade, cleaning them up. Removing leaves below branch divisions. And the stubs from these leaves will just dry up and fall off. You don't have to worry about pruning them flush. So at the moment it's 10 degrees Celsius here in the greenhouse. It always warms up a bit in the daytime, which is nice. So you can see the branch structure now that I've cleaned it up. There's still a bit of cleanup work to do, but I think it's to the point where I can start the actual branch pruning. I can see what's going on. So I'll clean this up and we'll begin some branch pruning and some branch selection. I'll begin by selecting the front of the tree. So my thickest upright trunk is this one. That would be a nice kind of natural flowing leader for the tree. I think that should come out front. And like the other one, I have a branch to the right and a branch to the left kind of fanning out. So I think the front of the tree would be somewhere about here. So I'll mark that with a piece of wire. So I'll place a loop of wire in the front of the pot here, just to mark the front of the tree. All right, I can begin pruning. I'm going to start here, shortening this branch back to the first two leaves. So here I go, putting that off. I've got an upright branch going straight up there. I'm going to prune it off short. I'll leave it on. It may come off in the future, but for now I'll leave it on. This is kind of my natural leader for the tree, continuing that sort of upright trunk line. So I'll just prune it off a little shorter to there, and there's a back branch here. I can prune off shorter also to here. This branch coming out to the right hand side, I can prune that off shorter. I'll go right back to here. There's part of it coming out the back here. I'll prune that off to here. And again, I have another upright one here that I'll want to prune quite short. So I'll prune it back to here. To there. I've got one growing tall up the back here. I'll reduce that back to here. And this part back to here. Like that, making it a little more compact, keeping it in the profile. my branch coming out to the left here, I can shorten this one back to here. Like that. This one, I've already, have I shortened that? No, I haven't. Put it back to here. Like that. This one coming out the back, put it back to here. This one can be pruned back to here. This upright one can be pruned back to here. And this one, I think in this case it's going too vertical. I'll take it right off. It's okay to have vertical stuff towards the center of the tree, but as you get to the outer branches, you want them fanning outwards. So this one can be pruned back to here. There's one kind of growing up the middle here, and I'm not sure I want that one at all. I don't think so. It's just too close to the trunk line and it's vertical, so I'll take that one right off. Like that. So there's the front now. I'm going to reduce this one back, and I may even take that off. I think that one's got to come off. It's too vertical. I want, this is sort of my main part of the tree, and these as branches. So I'll reduce this branch back at least to here. And this one doesn't have any leaves in this section, so I'll just take the top off. And I may reduce that back further in the future. This one to a backwards facing leaf. And this one also to here. Kind of keeping my branches fanning out if possible. So that's got all the branches pruned up now. So there's the front of the tree. So now I'm looking at the branches, seeing if I need to remove any. I could remove this upright part back here. But I think that would make the canopy too empty, so I'll keep that one. I talked about removing this vertical one, and I think I will. Like that. I'm looking to see if there's any, branches dividing from 1 to 3. I kind of got opposite branches here if this is my leader. I think for now it's okay. I don't think I'd want to do any more pruning to this tree today. I'll just let it grow, recover, and leave, some of these other branches for the future. See how it develops, what branches grow in, and make further pruning decisions in the future. So that's it. That's that tree pruned up for today. I'll spin the tree around so you can see it from all angles. And it's useful for future reference. If you change the front of the tree, at least you have a view of what it looked like before you change the front. And sometimes you can make decisions based on reviewing your video. You may see something you like. So here I go, rotating around to the right-hand side. Coming around to the back of the tree. Coming around to the left-hand side. And back to the front. Here is a look at the remaining jades. They're quite small and compact, so I'm just going to leave these trees as they are and put them in the basement. If there's anyone from the Toronto Bonsai Society or the Kitchener-Waterloo Bonsai Society that would like one of these jades, just send me an email and it's yours. It's still very wintry outside, below freezing, so I'm going to wait
Hopefully it'll warm up in the next few days and I can move the jades inside for the winter when it's above freezing. When you go to repot your jades, it's best to put them in a pot that has a lip like this on the inside of the pot. And what that does is it stops the jade tipping over. So the roots grow in the pot and this lip stops the jade from tipping over when it gets top heavy. So, you know, nursery pots like these clay terracotta pots, they're open at the top like this one, and the whole soil and root mass can tip easily. It just pops right out of the pot. But if they have that protective lip around them, it contains the roots and the soil in the pot, and they're much less likely to tip over. Also, try and find a pot that has a wide base on it. This one is narrow, so it would tip over easily in the wind. So it's best to find like a cylindrical pot or one that has nice wide feet on it and has that lip.
That's got all the jades pruned up for today. They're ready to go inside for the winter. Some I did very severe prunings to, others a little lighter, and some I didn't touch at all. So thanks very much, James, for the jades. I hope you're not too shocked at what I did to them, and I hope they all recover and grow well. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.